On Wednesday, it was officially said that the Philippines wants to include Elon Musk's STARLINK in its free Wi-Fi program. This could help the billionaire's high-speed satellite internet business in the country make more money. At a media briefing, SpaceX's senior manager for government relations, Rebecca Hunter, said that Starlink is working on a commercial launch in the Philippines by December. Welcome to Techmo. In today's video, we will be sharing with you the latest information about the Starlink satellite, which is going to launch in the Philippines in December. The Department of Information and Technology and representatives from SpaceX are said to have provided details during a press event that took place in Manila, as reported by the Philippine news agency. During the press conference, the DCIT Ivan John Yui stated that SpaceX could deploy Starlink internet hubs as early as the first quarter of 2022, bringing free Wi-Fi to citizens. Rebecca Hunter, who is in the role of Senior Manager for Government Affairs at SpaceX, was present at the press event. According to Hunter, users of Starlink will have access to download speeds ranging from 100 to 200 megabytes per second, upload speeds ranging from 20 to 40 megabytes per second, and a latency of 20 milliseconds. This will result in a significant reduction in the average fixed broadband latency rate of 33 milliseconds across the country. Secretary Yui stated that the DICT was working toward becoming Kung Fu ready. In the event that SpaceX is prepared, then the Philippines ought to be as well. He went on to say that even though the Broadband NG Massa project, also known as the People's Broadband Project, does not yet have funding within the nation's budget for the year 2023, the remaining budget for the free Wi-Fi program from the previous administration will be used instead. According to Hunter, the Starlink kit will cost approximately 33,000 Philippine pesos upfront and 5,500 Philippine pesos on a monthly basis. It will also include a satellite dish and a router. It's out of reach for a lot of different households. Yui indicated that the Department of Information and Communications Technology, through the Broadband and Massa project, might install Starlink in community shared spaces. We will ensure that they have access to the internet until such time as the local government or the Department of Social Welfare and Development can give feedback that we have raised them. They will remain at their previous level. We'll keep an eye on things over the next year or two, and if they ever get to the point where they can afford it, the government might be able to finally sever the umbilical cord. According to Yui, in order for Starlink services to be incorporated into a government initiative, the company will first have to demonstrate that they are compliant with the requirements outlined in the Government Procurement Reform Act. They have to go through that in order to determine whether or not they are capable of successfully completing that obstacle course. Ookla, a website that monitors internet speeds, conducted an analysis of the performance of satellite internet during the fourth quarter of 2021. The findings of the study revealed that Starlink provided download speeds of more than 100 megabytes per second in 15 different countries during the previous year, with average speeds in Q4 that were higher than those in Q3. In the US, Starlink provided average download speeds of approximately 105 megabytes per second and average upload speeds of approximately 12 megabytes per second. This is approximately 5 to 6 times better than the averages for satellite competitors Viasat and HughesNet, and it is just short of the overall average for the entire category of fixed wireless internet, which includes satellite and other forms of delivering connectivity to people's homes without ground-laid infrastructure. Starlink is a subsidiary of EchoStar Corporation. Musk stated his expectation via Twitter in February of the previous year that the service would more than double its maximum speeds to 300 megabytes by the end of 2021. At this point in 2022, it is difficult to evaluate claims such as those because the speeds will vary depending on both the time and location. According to a report published in June by Ookla, Starlink's media download speeds in the US reached 90 megabytes per second in 2022, representing a roughly 38% increase from the beginning of 2021 to the beginning of 2022. That is significantly higher than the median download speed offered by either Viasat or HughesNet, which was 22 megabytes per second during the first quarter of 2022. But it is slower than the median download speed offered by all internet providers in the US combined, which is 144 megabytes per second. John Kim, who works for CNET, signed up for the service at his home in California the previous year and has recently started testing it out in a number of different locations. When he was at home, his download speeds averaged around 78 megabytes per second, and his latency was around 36 milliseconds. The initial cost of the service was initially billed at $99 per month, in addition to any applicable taxes and fees, as well as an initial payment of $499 for the mountable satellite dish and router that you will need to install in your home. In March, SpaceX increased those prices to $110 per month and $599 upfront for the hardware. In spite of earlier predictions from SpaceX executives that the costs of the hardware would come down over time. For an internet connection, $110 is a lot to pay, especially for one that isn't nearly as fast as a fiber connection. However, Musk is betting that the cost will be worth it for people who have not previously had any access to a consistently fast connection at all. In April of the previous year, Gwynne Shotwell, president of SpaceX, stated that Starlink wanted to keep pricing as simple and transparent as possible, and that the company had no plans to introduce service tiers into the mix. The standard plan will be replaced in 2022 by a new premium tier that offers download speeds ranging from 150 to 500 megabytes per second and a scan array that is twice as large as the current one. This strategy, however, appears to be the subject to change in 2022. This tier has a month-to-month fee of $500, in addition to an upfront payment of $2,500 for the equipment. Starlink is currently accepting orders for that tier of membership, and the company intends to launch the service toward the end of 2022, even though the company warns that there may be brief periods of no connectivity at all during the beta phase. Early reports from outlets such as Fast Company and CNBC seem to indicate that Starlink's first customers are satisfied with the service. There is a lot of controversy in the astronomical community regarding the effect that low-orbiting satellites have on the night sky itself, which is causing a lot of people to be concerned about the growing number of privately owned satellites in space. In 2019, not long after Starlink's first broadband satellites were placed into orbit, the International Astronomical Union issued a statement that sounded alarming, warning of unanticipated consequences for stargazing and for the protection of nocturnal wildlife. The statement was issued shortly after Starlink deployed its first broadband satellites. The statement says that we do not yet understand the impact of thousands of these visible satellites scattered across the night sky, and it goes on to say that, despite their good intentions, these satellite constellations may threaten both. Since then, Starlink has started testing a variety of new designs with the goal of lowering the visibility and brightness of its satellites. At the beginning of the year 2020, the company conducted tests on a DarkSat satellite that had a specialized coating that did not reflect light. A VisorSat satellite, which includes a specialized sunshade visor, was eventually launched into space by the company in June of the year 2020. Another group of satellites was put into orbit by Starlink in August. This time around, all of the satellites were outfitted with visors. Shotwell stated that we want to make sure that we do the right thing to ensure that even the youngest of children can look through their telescope. It's awesome that they were able to see a Starlink. However, they should be concentrating on Saturn and the Moon at this point, and they do not want to be disturbed. On the website of the company, it is stated that Starlink teams have worked closely with leading astronomers around the world to better understand the specifics of their observations and engineering changes we can make to reduce satellite brightness. Even though the future of the Starlink rollout in the Philippines is still unclear, we anticipate that when it launches, millions of people, even in the most remote areas, will benefit from the satellite internet service. This is the case even though the future of the rollout is still uncertain. So that's all for today's video. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, then hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you will always be notified.